Hello, my subscriblings, and welcome to day 6 of the 12 Days of Shipmas. Now, for those wondering what the 12 Days of Shipmas is, it's a little series that I created back when I was in high school, where for the 12 days leading up to Christmas, I draw 12 different couples from 12 different fandoms. I like to think of it as a little advent calendar, with something for you guys to open up each day. I want to go ahead and preface this episode by saying I'm drawing a couple from the Magnus archives, and my drawing might be considered a bit of a spoiler. I know that the Magnus archives has been out for a while, but if you haven't started listening to it but plan to, I would recommend skipping this one. We'll catch you in the next one. And since I am drawing from the Magnus archives, I am of course drawing John and Martin. Listen, you didn't think the Cookie Run picture was the only angsty picture I was drawing this season, did you? I thrive off of angst. The scene that I am drawing is when Martin and John are at the cabin. Specifically the scene after John reads the letter from Elias where everything just goes wrong. That's pretty much the simplest and family-friendly way that I can put that. I was torn between that scene or the scene at the very end of the series, but I have another couple in mind that would kind of fit a similar pose that I would have used for that scene, so I figured to go with the cabin scene instead. Which means, yes, there will be at least one more angsty drawing for this series. This one was a lot of fun because since the Magnus Archives is a podcast, there's not really a canonical version of these characters, but when doing research and kind of looking into see how other people envision them, it's kind of cool to see that a lot of people's headcanons for the way that they look match up. It's kind of cool that that works out some ways with a community where there aren't specific visuals. And I'm sure a lot of it comes from people liking other artists' rendition of the characters, and so they adapt it into their own. But it's fun nonetheless. For those who are watching and don't know what the Magnus Archives is, it is a horror podcast. It starts out with the main character, Jonathan Sims, just reading out different testimonies that have been given to the Magnus Institute as a way to try and archive them. He recently has been given the position of the head archivist, and when he gets there, he realizes that the archives are an absolute mess. Nothing is chronicalized or really documented very well, so he takes it upon himself to start reading out the ones that haven't been documented. So it starts out with just like all of these little mini stories, but then as the podcast goes along, there's an overarching story that starts to fall into place, and it is so good. I highly recommend the Magnus Archives if you haven't listened to it. I personally listened to it on Spotify, but I'm pretty sure they have the Magnus Archives just about anywhere where podcasts can be listened to. I only really know a Spotify and Apple Music. I think Audible has podcasts, but I'm not 100% sure. For this drawing, I wanted to try and experiment a bit with the background. So since they are standing in front of a window with a giant eye kind of looming over them outside, I wanted to try something with lighting to make it a bit more dramatic. I am not good with lighting, so this was a bit of a challenge for me. I tried doing the thing where there's a white light on the outer edge of the character so that I could use the Gaussian blur to make it look like light. Don't know if it processed very well, but I hope it did. I also got to mess around with different effects with this background. Like I did the chromatic, what's it called? The chromatic aberration, I think is how you say that. along with some noise and some glitching. And I really like what it added to the end piece. I think it really ties it together and helps add a little bit of the spookiness to it. That is the end of this speed paint. I hope that you all enjoyed. Like I said at the beginning, I am drawing every day until Christmas. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see which couple I draw tomorrow, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell so that you won't miss it. I hope that I'll see you guys there, and I hope that you all have a fantastic day. See ya!